Hi, I'm Tim Gaspar from Gaspar Insurance. I'm here to talk a little bit about the Menchie's National Insurance Program. And what better place to do that than my favorite place on earth, a Menchie's yogurt store. So I'm standing here at the Menchie's yogurt store in Woodland Hills, and I want to talk about some key items on the National Insurance Program. The first three things you should know is that first and foremost, Gaspar Insurance only deals with the largest carriers in the country to make sure that your insurance program is backed by the big guys to make sure that claims get paid. Number two, we want to make sure that you're not just paying a low premium, which I'll get into, but that also you have the right coverage. So your Menchie's National Insurance product is tailored with all of the right coverages that you should have to make sure that when something does go wrong, that claim is going to be covered. And number three, the low price guarantee. The way the low price guarantee works is really, really simple. If you find a better price, whether it be today, 6 months from now, 2 years from now, all you have to do is send me a copy of that pricing and we'll beat it by 10%, no questions asked. So please know that every year we are looking and reshopping your insurance to make sure that it's the best deal possible, to make sure that we're standing up to that low price guarantee. So now I want to dig into a few of the specific policies that you'll have as a Menchie's owner. Now, the first policy that you're going to secure, the one that's going to make your landlord happy, is your business owner's package. This is a lot like the homeowner's insurance that you have personally, in the regards that it has a lot of different coverages on one policy. So that first coverage that you're getting is general liability insurance. So general liability insurance is pretty simple. It's going to protect you from lawsuits from third party. Who's a third party? Well, it could be customers. It could be the UPS guy that comes in for a delivery. It can be the person that walks in off the street to use your restroom. So any one of those folks sues you, maybe they run into the door and hit their head on it, or perhaps they eat a topping that has peanuts when they didn't realize it. That's going to fall into your general liability, which is part of that includes the product liability. So that's first and foremost, and that's also the thing that makes your landlord happy. Second is going to be your actual property coverage. You spent a lot of money making sure that you have your machines, your tenant improvements, all of your furniture, all of the things that were used to build your store. So in the event you have a fire, if you have smoke damage, water damage because a pipe bursts, or anything along those lines, it's the part of the policy that's going to pay to repair your machines, or God forbid your store totally burns down, to rebuild your store. In regards to that property coverage, there's three things that you should know as part of the property coverage. First and foremost is that floods, which would be water that comes from outside the store and rises into your store, is not going to be covered, unfortunately. And if you live in South Florida or South Texas or certain parts of Louisiana, high wind is also an optional coverage. So basically that's referring to hurricanes. So you want to make sure that we talk about that piece to see if it's something you want. And for those of you that live here in California or some other places in the country that are prone to earthquakes, that's also an optional coverage. So just a few things to be aware of in regards to your property coverage. And then lastly, loss of income. So in the event that water pipe does explode in the wall or the store does burn down, you want to make sure that you can still pay your bills. Now, Menchie's policy is going to make sure that you get all of your lost income so you're able to pay your bills and yourself just like you were open and selling yogurt. So again, your business owner's policy is going to cover liability, lawsuits from customers or visitors. It's going to cover property in the event something happens to the store, and it's going to cover that loss of income piece. And those are the things you need to know about that first business owner's policy. Now, the second policy that you'll get as a Menchie's owner is going to be workers' compensation. Workers' compensation is really, really simple. It's going to cover any reason that an employee gets hurt while they're working for you. That could be somebody that's working and they slip and fall here in the store. Maybe they cut themselves cutting toppings, or maybe you send them out to get napkins at the local Target and they get into a car accident on the way. All of those things are workers' comp claims. It doesn't really matter how it happens. If an employee's roughhousing or doing something they're not supposed to do and gets hurt, it's still going to fall under workers' compensation. Workers' compensation is typically the law in most states, so you want to make sure you have it in place before you hire your first worker. And as far as what you pay, it's really, really simple. It's going to be a percentage of your total payroll. That percentage is going to vary depending on what state you're in. So what we do is, on an annual basis, we take an estimate of what we think your payroll will be, and your workers' comp premium is going to be a portion of that. Now, at the end of the year, you're going to get an audit from the insurance carrier where you send them the information on what your payroll actually was. If your payroll ended up being less than what we thought, you'll get a credit back. If your payroll ended up being more because you had a gangbuster year, you will get an additional bill for that premium. You just want to make sure that you're taking a look and keeping your eyes open for that audit in the mail, because it does need to be completed. And then lastly, on the workers' comp, anybody who owns more than 2% of a business is eligible to be excluded from the workers' comp. So as you, the owner, you probably are going to want to be excluded on the workers' comp so that you don't have to pay premium for yourself. But that definitely is something you want to double check with us, just so that you don't get a surprise bill in the mail. Now, the third policy that you should know about as a Menchie's owner is one that's totally optional. There's nothing in the franchise agreement that would require you to get this particular coverage, and it's certainly not something that's any sort of state law, but it is something that comes up a lot, and that's EPLI coverage, which stands for Employment Practices Liability Insurance. There's a few different things that this covers. First and foremost, it's going to cover any sort of suit that alleges any kind of harassment. So even if you don't yourself harass anybody, and we certainly hope you don't, your manager might do certain things when you're not looking, or you could get an employee that unfortunately could have a false allegation against you. So an EPLI policy will cover that. It'll also cover wrongful termination. In the event you let somebody go, even for a really good reason, they can allege any sort of thing that results in a wrongful termination lawsuit. And those are really expensive to defend. The policy will also cover any sort of discrimination lawsuit. So in the event you let somebody go and they say that it was because they were too short or they were too tall or whatever the case is, the policy is going to cover that. The nice thing is that it also covers prospective employees. So in the event you interview somebody and they just weren't right for the job and that person ends up suing you and alleges they weren't hired because of some other protected reason, you're going to be covered for that too. The nice thing is that the policy also comes with a free legal helpline. So if you do have an issue, a legal issue, like let's say somebody shows up and you think they're drunk, but you're not totally sure, you're not sure what to do, the policy is going to give you a free legal helpline that you can call anytime free of charge to get information. So it's a really valuable coverage to have. If you're not sure if you have that coverage through us right now or you want to find out more, just let me know. Now, in addition to those coverages that I just mentioned on the business owner's package, there's a lot of optional coverages that are also included on that same policy that you should be aware of. So first and foremost is you do have mechanical breakdown coverage, which is really important because these machines are pretty expensive to fix. So in the event, let's say a power surge fries the machine or the glycol unit goes bad, you can actually file those claims in your business owner's package and actually have the policy repair the machines. So definitely something you want to be aware of. And number two, let's say there's a power outage, whether it be on location or a car hits a pole a mile away and the power goes out, this yogurt's going to spoil pretty quickly. And if it does, that's going to be a pretty significant loss for you. The policy will generally cover that as well. So just a couple of the optional coverages that you want to be aware of. And remember, on that liability piece, as I mentioned, product liability is covered too. So that can include somebody getting sick from yogurt, which although is not likely, anybody can allege just about anything. Or also, we did have a claim years ago where somebody who was allergic to peanuts didn't realize Reese's Pieces have peanuts, which unfortunately would seem like an obvious thing, but the reality is, depending on what state you're in, it's easy enough for somebody to go ahead and make that allegation and file a lawsuit. Thankfully, that's going to be covered too. The bottom line is that you might not know what's covered because we don't expect you to read the policy from cover to cover. It's about 100 pages long. So what I suggest is that if you do have something happen at your store, just let me know. If it's something that cost you money, you never know if it could be covered. And if you ever get anything from an attorney, please let me know about it right away. Because if you don't let me know, that could actually affect your coverage. So there you go. Your policy covers a lot of different things for the business owner's package. So hopefully you can sleep well at night. All right. So in addition to insurance, I just want to make you aware of a few final things. Number one, we have state posters for your break room for all 50 states and U.S. territories. So in the event you need a new poster for your break room, maybe the one hanging in there right now is a couple years old, just let me know. I'll send you a new one today. You'll have it within 2 days, and it's totally free of charge because you're Menchie's. Number two, in the event you need some sort of literature related to maybe keeping your workspace safe, or perhaps something in regards to ergonomics for your cash register, we have all of that information at our fingertips. We can send it to you very quickly, even how-to videos in regards to keeping a safe working environment. And lastly, if you have any questions at all related to not just legal stuff, but also just general HR stuff in regards to how many break times folks should get, or any questions that you have that maybe you don't have an answer to, we have a free HR helpline that you can call as often as you like, anytime you like, and it's totally free. Shoot me an email at tim.gaspar@gasparinsurance.com, or to make it easy, menchies@gasparinsurance.com, and I'll give you that information right away. So I hope you found this video informative. It had a lot of insurance information, which I know is not super exciting, but we want to make sure that you and your store are protected. Have a smiley day.